Boom! That's the sound of another explosive, new, exciting episode of 8192 The Truth coming your way. But first, once again, this episode is brought to you by Cernier Fit and the DolceDiet.com. Whether your goal is to lose weight, get fit, impress your wife, pick up chicks, pick up dudes, or just increase your overall lifetime longevity, Cernier Fit and the Dolce Diet is where you need to go. The Dolce Diet has multiple programs, customizable, 100% personal programs to help you reach all your weight loss and nutrition needs. Partnered with Cernier Fit, you can save 10% on both the 3 weeks to shred or the 8-week living lean program, or 10% on both by going to the DolceDiet.com using the code Cernier10 at checkout. Sign up for 3 weeks to shred and lose 21 pounds in 21 days. Results guaranteed. Or sign up, get in for the long haul. Do the 3 weeks to shred, then roll right into the 8-week living lean program you can easily duplicate for the rest of your life. Or vice versa. Start with a living lean, build a little momentum, lose a little weight, start feeling good, start getting healthy, and then crack! You're into 3 weeks to shred and you drop 21 pounds and you are an absolute Greek god. Either way, the DolceDiet.com is where it's at. Ready-made menus, shopping list, workouts with training videos, everything you need at your fingertips. It takes the thinking, takes the brain work, it takes all the trouble and the hassle clean out of it. All you got to do is sign up, show up, and start losing weight. Trust me, I'm not only a spokesman, I am a member, I am a Dolce Diet certified coach, and I would not lead you astray. I promise you this. Results are guaranteed. If you do the program, you are not satisfied with the results after fully committing yourselves, I personally will refund your money. You have my 100% Cernier Fit guarantee. So go to the DolceDiet.com. Use the code Cernier10 at checkout. Save yourself 10% and be on your way to a newer, healthier, and happier you. And now on to our call-in show. Boom!
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of 8192 The Truth. This is Joel D. Supernaw. And for my partner, Kevin Brother Sin, who's going to be on in a few minutes with a call-in panel. I'm excited about doing that. Man, I feel so bad. I'm down at the studio. You guys know we're doing this live studio, and I've nailed this thing thus far being down here. Well, I just opened the show with my son, Lad Supernaw, giving me his picks before I got Brew on. And when I called Brew, I deleted the whole show. So first off, welcome, Wes Hebrew. I know that name by Brew Chance. Brew, how are you doing, buddy?
Good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
All right, good. So before me and you start kicking the ball around, let me give you Lad's picks real quick. So Lad had Roundtree and I'm not sure who Roundtree's fighting, but Goku.
Fighting Gokhan Saki.
Perfect. Lad had Gokhan Saki in that one. He had Paul Felder. He had Derek Lewis. He picked Stipe. And he had Chiesa. So those are Lad's picks. Lad, I apologize. I deleted this, but you did a great job. A year ago, we went to, me and Lad, met Kevin Cernier, met Kevin down there, and watched Romero fight Whitaker. So before me and you start kicking the sports ball around, you've got some pretty exciting things going on that with an energy... a non-caffeinated energy pill, is that correct, called NOCO?
A little, kind of. So it's actually the only ingredient in the product is caffeine. So a little bit the opposite, but you're along the right track. So I don't want to give too much away because we're in the sample phase. So at the end, I'll give out my socials. Anybody interested can reach out to me for a free sample right now. But just not to give too much away before we go on sale, but we're a pure, clean, completely customizable energy powder company. We're developing some really cool stuff. There's no BS in this product. It's only caffeine. This is a product for people that if you like to drink coffee just for the energy, or you need to drink coffee just for the energy, rather, this is a product for you. So without giving too much away, if you're interested in a product that can give you the same type of energy as coffee without having to drink the nastiness of coffee, no yellow teeth, no coffee breath, this is the product for you. To find out some more right now at this sample stage, you can find me at Wesley Hebrew on Instagram. Feel free to reach out at any time, and I'll send you a free sample.
All right, Brew, that's great. So let me talk about that real quick. So I'm a person who, the older I've gotten, I need my morning coffee. I really do. It gets me going. I've been doing it for so long. I'm not sure if I can just take the magic pill. Am I going to want to get rid of that morning coffee experience? You know, it's something that I do all the time. So let me ask you this. I have my morning coffee, and in the middle of the day, I have that hit, you know, I hit that plateau. Can I pop in the caffeine pill and get jolted again?
Absolutely, you can. It's a caffeine powder. You're going to be able to mix it with whatever you want, but I'm glad you brought that up, Joel. So, you know, we're not aiming to replace coffee. What we are is a coffee alternative. I myself love coffee. People ask me that all the time. When you start drinking your NoCo, the company's called NoCo, by the way. I don't think I've mentioned that yet, but when people ask me, you know, are you done with coffee now that you started this company? Absolutely not. I mean, I just drank a coffee this morning. Just like you said, coffee to start your day, it's more than just the caffeine and the pep it gives you. A lot of people love that coffee for, you know, the aura, the taste. It's the hot when it comes down. It helps them wake up in the morning, and it's just the essence of it that people really enjoy. So we're not trying to replace that at all. We just want to offer people an alternative so that you do not have to drink coffee every time you want simple energy. And why I keep bringing it up to coffee is simple energy, right? It's just caffeine. There's nothing else to it. It's not all these other energy drinks, you know, extreme energy, 5-hour energy with all the, you know, proprietary blends and secret formulas, vitamin B12, niacin, all this bullshit in it. It is nothing like that. It is a simple coffee bean extract that's going to allow you to customize your own flavor. You don't have to taste coffee. So are we trying to replace coffee? No, not at all. What we're giving consumers is a way to get energy quickly when you need it, however you want it, completely customizable, so you don't have to drink coffee. If you're in a rush for a meeting or you got a lot going, I mean, let me back up. The reason I even thought of this product is because I wanted to start waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning before work to go to the gym. And, you know, at this time, I'm not too into 5-hour energy and all of those things. So I drink a pre-workout before the gym. I drink my coffee for my energy, right? I didn't want to be drinking a pre-workout at 5 o'clock in the morning. There's too much stuff in it. It gets you going a little too much that early. So that I wasn't trying to do that. And then the only alternative you left is coffee. Keurig coffee. I mean, honestly, I would wake up in the morning. I'd go over to the Keurig machine. I'd turn it on. I'd lay down while it's pouring, and I'd be back asleep before it's done. Then you got to wait till it cools down before you drink it. It's just too much. With our product, you could just rip a pack open. You can put it in your drink. You're good to go right from there.
All right, cool. And that's a salesman right there. You see, when you pull a salesman's string, he can't help but giving a pitch. I get it, man. I get it. When you believe in something, that's how you sound. But good for you, Brew. I love the idea. Now let's go through a couple topics. Now I've got 3 or 4 call-ins with Kevin here in a little bit, so I want to stay kind of away from the big thing that I'm sure everybody's wanting to talk about is Max, this, that, and the other. I know you and I talked about that, but I'm gonna throw three topics out there real quick to kick around. First one, are you a Yankee fan?
I am a Yankee fan.
Oh man, you've got to be in heaven.
I will say, as a kid growing up, that was my first sport. My father's a Yankee fan. You don't have a choice. You are what your father likes. I'm a Yankee fan. But as I've grown into MMA since the explosion in like 03, 04, it's been down with baseball and up with football and MMA. So I'm not too particular. I know we have Giancarlo Stanton. I know we have Aaron Judge. I know the big players, but I'm not too familiar with any major moves being made. So fill me in if it's exciting.
You guys got the best lineup. I mean, there's a lot of really good teams right now, but that lineup, they're going to smash the home run record. You got Judge, Stanton, Sanchez. Then you've got a shortstop killing it. You got the player that we gave you, the Cubs gave you a few years ago for Chapman. I mean, you guys are loaded. If that team, see, you like the Yankees, but you're not living and dying by them, boy. If that team doesn't get to the World Series this year, oh my God! And I don't think they're done. I think they're going to go out and get another arm. So.
Yeah. You know what? I was kind of getting back into it at the end of last season when, I don't think they were expected to go as far as they did. And as they started to do it, you heard all the controversy. People are saying, well, it's the Yankees. So they weren't supposed to be that far. But then again, what is the expectation for the Yankees? They're the most decorated team in history. So it's like when they're there, well, of course they're there, right? But so it was kind of like a almost underdog, but not so much an underdog season. So it sounds like this season it's World Series or bust, huh?
Well, it really is. Now, I tell you one thing I love about the Yankees, and I hope the Cubs are going to do some Yankee magic, is no matter how good their team is, and you guys have a fantastic, awesome team, you guys will go out and spend crazy money right around the trade deadline and do something that the Cubs need to do. The Cubs have picked up a $126 million contract with Yu Darvish. And in my opinion of Yu Darvish he is a mentally broken fighter. And we love the MMA world, so I'll use this example. We see fighters make it to the top and even become world champions. And their skill set, and then they lose. And their skill set's the same. Everything's the same, except now they can't win a fight. That's a mentally broken fighter. Yu Darvish blew the World Series last year for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Has fantastic stuff. His arm is great. He's got 4 different pitches. Cubs go out and get him, give him $126 million, and he has been on the disabled list twice. The first one, he had the flu. He literally went on the disabled list for the Chicago Cubs, and the reason was he had a flu. Came back, pitched 1 game, did well, and now he's been on the disabled list with a sore arm. A sore arm. Well, it's really, his brain is fried, and I believe he's never going to be able to pitch in the major leagues again. I truly believe that. I believe this is a Josh Hamilton-style washout. The sooner the Cubs deal with it and just, I mean, to be able to make $120, and that's guaranteed money, bro, $126 million. Imagine going on the disabled list. Imagine telling your boss you can't go to work because your arm hurts.
Well, it's a lot like the IFL and why the IFL closed, right? You get these guaranteed contracts. Once you pay an athlete before they have to perform, a lot of the times they don't end up performing.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. For me, I mean, I am a diehard Cub fan. Lad is a diehard Cub fan now. This Yu Darvish thing, it's crazy to me. It is crazy to me that a guy making $126 million, and the Cubs, it's pretty cool. The Chicago media, I didn't know this, so I go to the Chicago Tribune and the Sun-Times, and you can contact the sports reporters. Sure enough, man, I'll fire off an email to one of these guys. Imagine it's because nobody's selling papers anymore. They're available. They'll answer me, and the big thing I was asking is, what's the temperature of the press? Are we looking at a washout right here, and nobody wants to say it? Yes, we are looking at a washout. If the Cubs are going to win the World Series this year, they have to replace Yu Darvish with another hammer, whether that's DeGrom or Happ from the Blue Jays. That needs to happen. So now let's get over to Tito and Chuck.
You want to talk a quick segue? That's almost exactly what's happened with Max and Ortega. Max may never fight again. That's what they're saying. It's the same thing. The UFC is going to have to find a new head honcho at 145 if he can't fight for a while.
Well, I did a podcast yesterday. We'll call it the lost episode. And yesterday I was texting back and forth between you and Kevin, and I said, listen, there's something nobody ever wants to say how in the mixed martial arts business. I as a reporter, probably because Ariel's the only one with any kind that I know of with any kind of journalistic training. Everybody else is just fans that somehow got a run. From what I know, maybe Akamoto and Thomas, maybe they do have a background. Maybe they're a little bit different than a guy like Josh Gross, who has been around forever. Well, he's just a dude that was a fan and said, hey, I know this sport. Well, I know this sport too. And the thing that irritates me to no end about this sport, Brew, is when something big happens and nobody asks how. So we have Holloway with concussion-like syndromes. It looks like he's in the throes of a concussion. That's exactly what it looks like. So I want to know how. Somebody tell me how. Straight to your camp. Listen, did he have some crazy hard sparring last week? Because the only way he has a concussion this week is if he got a concussion last week. Okay, that's just the way this works. Now, the other side of this thing is, and it's the side that I definitely do not hope for, is there's something wrong with him. There's something physically wrong with him. Not a mental break, but there's something wrong with his brain. And I don't think it's too early in a guy's career, and he hadn't taken that much damage unless they're just going crazy out there in Hawaii to have that dementia style of combat sports. So I want to know how. Was he if he wasn't sparring crazy last week, then now we have to go on to the next step. He goes to the emergency room on Monday, and they let him out. He doesn't have a concussion Monday, Brew.
It sounds to me a lot like what happened to T.J. Grant. Like how you said you and I were texting back and forth. I brought this up then. If you remember back in the day, T.J. Grant knocked out Gray Maynard and was considered the number one contender. This was back right when Pettis had beat Benson Henderson for the title, so Pettis was the lightweight champ. After knocking out Maynard, they give T.J. Grant the title shot. Well, in training, he starts feeling there wasn't a single shot either. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody listening, but from what I remember about the situation, there was no single shot that landed. He didn't, get knocked out. Oh, this is a concussion, black and white. He started feeling in his training camp some sensitivity to light, some dizziness, it was hard time waking up. He was having trouble seeing sometimes, and that's exactly what they're saying is going on with Max Holloway. T.J. Grant ended up pulling out of that fight with Pettis. The rumor was, he's going to see these doctors. A year goes by, 2 years go by. Now it's 3-4 years, and T.J. Grant never fought again. So
yeah,
it's happened. There is a precedent for this.
Yeah, I definitely hope we're not looking at this. Then the news got yesterday where they're saying, hey, they don't know if this is a concussion or if it's a part of him cutting too much weight. If you can't make 155 pounds, even though it's on short notice, and then you're going to run it back 8 weeks later and get to 145.5 scratch, I hope we're not looking at a mentally broken fighter, a fighter that the pressure just got to. I love Max. He is one of my favorite fighters, but sometimes you get that championship swag and you have a disappointment, which was that hard weight cut 8 weeks ago. Sometimes you get a mental block, whether it's real or not. Now, you went to the hospital on Monday. They released you, and not only did they release you, they said go ahead and get in a cage fight. So something happened between then and 2 days ago. I tell you, the one thing I do like that what happened there, and I know this from my experience with being close to the fight world is that his team pulled him out of the fight.
Yeah.
It's the biggest fight that he's ever had, and they pulled him out. They probably could have got him on weight, and they probably could have stuck him in that cage. And they knew their guy wasn't going to be able to perform. They knew that, and they pulled him out. And my hat's off to his camp, because that's not normally what happens. Normally what happens is the guys tell him, hey, no, you got this, you got this, you got this. And the guys go out and lay an egg, and the guys behind the curtain are like, yeah, we kind of knew that was going to happen. So good for them. Let me ask you this. I liked those guys facing off yesterday, and I'll be interested in your take on this. Tito and Chuck.
Yep. What's my opinion on Tito, Chuck? So I got a pretty good one, I think. A pretty strong one, I should say. Chuck Liddell got me in this sport. I mean, it was 2003. The first fight I ever ordered was UFC 68, I believe, Liddell Sobral 2. And from there I was hooked. So, in terms of who's got, who do I want to win right here? It's Chuck Liddell, no problem. Now, I got two strong opinions on this. One, it didn't need to happen. I mean, the second fight happened 14 years ago. I think that's the consensus on everybody from what I see on, that in the MMA circles, that, we didn't really need this. Now, this match didn't seem to be for the fans. It seemed to be for Chuck and Tito, helping them out. Even it almost seems like more so Chuck. He really wanted this. He wants another payday. By all means. I mean, we all want another payday. So go and get it. And it's catching a lot of flack. People don't want to see it. It's this or that. When I saw them face off at the UFC Hall of Fame induction, it brought the spark right back. I don't care what you say. As soon as I saw them face off with that UFC logo in the background, I was back to 2004. I was ready to go. And the way I see it, and I think you have the same opinion as me, is if Chael, whenever Chael fights, if Randy was to come out of retirement and fight, it really doesn't matter if he's 60 years old, 100 years old. When one of our brothers go to war, a brother goes to war. Chuck got me into this sport. I'm going to have his back till the end of the day. Am I worried about the potential outcome? Yeah, I am. I think Tito Ortiz has aged a lot better than Chuck. And I'm solely basing that off of what I've seen. I don't know Chuck behind the scenes. For all I know, that chin could be back to 100%. I don't know, but from what I've seen, it seems Tito has seemed to age a little bit better, hold that athletic ability into his later years a little bit better than Chuck had. Chuck was in some real wars at the end there that kind of cost him. So am I worried about the outcome? Absolutely. But after seeing them face off at the Hall of Fame ceremony, and here's a question I have for you, Joel. Do you think the UFC, Uncle Dana let Tito Ortiz, who he's had a feud with forever, and his kind of falling out best friend Chuck Liddell, square off for another promotion, a different company's pay-per-view at his Hall of Fame event?
Yeah.
Is the UFC getting a check for this?
Now, we got a couple problems here. Okay, and I'll get to this. I'll get to this real quick because we've got to bring the crew on. I got about 5 minutes. So, okay, first off, the UFC passed on this fight. Okay, whether that's Dana being a bro and saying, Chuck, you do not need to do this, or not, who knows? Bellator also passed on this fight.
Yeah.
So now it goes over to a promotion that's never had a fight before. There's not a venue, there's not a date, and I'm not sure if there's a market. Tito Ortiz didn't. Here's the thing, man. If I need to get paid, it doesn't matter. If I need to get paid, I'm going to go to work. Well, Chuck was a professional fighter. If he needs money, good for him. If him and Tito can make a bunch of money, let him go fight. I'm going to pay my $45 or my $50 or my $60, and I'm not going to beat up the product. See, everybody wants to sit on their high horse in the world of the FABU and just throw those darts at everybody. Man, let them fight. Let's go. I personally believe that Chuck owns Tito. Okay, Chuck could beat him up. So Chuck could beat him up 20 years ago. He's going to beat him up in 20 years. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what changes in life. They're practically the same age. They came through the same era. the one thing that Tito has that Chuck doesn't is he's got a victory over a really, really rusty Chael Sonnen, and he's beaten that to the hilt, because now Chael's got 2 good victories, and Chael might be the world champion here in another 6 months. So I'm all for it. I'm like, let him fight. Let's but I don't think we're ever going to see that fight. Okay.
Oh, you don't think it actually?
No, I don't think that's going to happen, because you realize that came up in the midst of Canelo and Triple G, that fight going away. So this whole thing came up, and you got a couple guys out there thinking they've got a way to go, and then even Tito doesn't even have show money. He said no.
I was going to say that. I saw that yesterday. He said he's only getting paid off his pay-per-view and the ticket sales.
Yeah, so I don't think we'll ever see this fight. If we do see this fight, great. I'll pay for it. I would be hard pressed to see that doing a big number. I would be hard pressed.
No way it does over 100,000. No way. It's not a pay-per-view fight 14 years later. It's just not.
I think it would do. I think it would do 100. I think it could do with the promotion, but it's a loser of a promotion. They're not. It's I hope I'm wrong. The more promotions for the fighters, the better. But when you get too many people trying to do something, it usually doesn't work. So, Brew, you got any final thoughts?
Hey, I got a quick question for you before I head out here. Is this the best world team we've ever had in wrestling? David Taylor, Kyle Snyder, James Green, Jordan Burroughs, Nick Guzowski, Thomas Gilman. The list. I don't think there's a better team in the history of the world ever.
Well, let me tell you something. You're gonna know this when you're my age. I'm 51 on a hard line to 52. Whenever you were tough, whenever you were good at anything, is when you're going to say that was the best team. So when we had John Smith and the Hammers that we had back in my day, I'm going to take that team. But that is just a part of an old man looking back. I love the team. I hope they win it. And I've got to get to Kevin. Kevin, hey Brew, thanks for coming on. I'll talk to you soon. Kevin, are you there?
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Kevin, are you there?
I am here.
All right, brother. So first off, what's going on with you in Davenport?
Yeah, he needs to have a few lessons taught to him. He doesn't respect men of higher power, men like myself, men in a position, a lot in life, a few steps ahead of him. He just doesn't quite get his place. So
okay, that's so good. So guys, Scott Davenport, he was on the show last week. He's a friend of the show. We get in a text issue. We're going back and forth, and then the next thing, war breaks out between Kevin, the $1 Million Man, Senior, and Davenport, and I got to tell you, I know how we can fix this battle, and I think we fix it in the middle of a cage. Now, you have always wanted to get down like Charlie Bizzle, and Davenport is not training a bit other than lifting a bunch of weights. He's going to go get his arm ripped off by Fabiano in a couple days. How about we do a catch weight fight, 235 pounds, because he's got to be pushing 3 bills. That'll be a good thing for him. What do you think, Kevin? Do you want your first match with
I know he's got a little bit of in-cage experience, but he's a slob. He doesn't have the genetics. He doesn't have the breeding. He doesn't have anything that it would take to have a chance with me. I'm quicker. I'm just as strong. I'm smoother, better cardio. It wouldn't be fair to him, to be honest. I'd knock the mustache and the tattoos clean off his body.
Hey, do you got somebody trying to call in or something on your end?
I've got everybody. I do hear a little feedback. We've got everybody on.
All right, cool. All right, good. So we had a little. All right. This is a work in progress. Okay, so I can go ahead and book that fight. You're gonna fight Davenport at 235 pounds if I can find a venue, and we'll give him 6 months. We'll have 6 months of promotion on that.
Give him 6 months. Tell him to crawl out of his dingy hole-in-the-wall garage and find some skills, because basically he ain't got it.
All right. Well, so there's the gauntlet. I know he will accept it. Will he make 235? I don't know. He might have a heart attack before that, but God love him. All right. Who do we got on? First caller.
So our first caller is going to be Jason. Jason is in Southwest Virginia. Jason, what do you got, brother?
This is Nick, actually.
Nick, sorry, Nick.
Yeah, is correct. Southwest Virginia, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, hey, thanks for letting me on, guys. Something I was, have been hot on for a while and just kind of got reignited the other day was MMA judging. I'm a lifelong MMA fan. Of course, I wish we didn't have, boxing minds, judging MMA fights. I wish we had some MMA minds in there. Until there's a fix to it, I'm going to be hot on it. But I was listening to Johnny Hendricks the other day when he was on Ariel's show, and he's retired now. And as you guys, I'm sure you know, but he said, I can say this now. I'm retired. He said, I've been to several UFC events where I was cage-side. I was sitting behind judges, and they would literally be looking down at their phones instead of their eyes on the contest. And he said the crowd would go, ooh, ah, they'd make it sound, they'd all come together, and the judges would look up for a few seconds, look back down. And, like the most recent, I guess, high-profile fight where, judging, I think, wasn't, accurate was the Darren Till Wonderboy fight, which I think Wonderboy won, not by much, but I think he was more effective. He threw more, Darren Till, other than just walking forward. He had that one, knockdown, but other than that was it. But, yeah, man, it doesn't look like there's any, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and I don't know why they're not trying a little bit harder to get something going.
Well,
like I said, man, just MMA minds. I wish we had more MMA minds judging MMA fights.
I'll tell you what. Here's the deal on that. It used to be really, really, really bad. I call it the Tennessee screw job. I've not seen a Tennessee screw job in a while. And if there's one every once in a while, man, that's just the way combat sports is. That's just the way it is. You take me, Ladd, and Kevin, and every caller, everybody on this line, and we judge the fights this weekend. We say, hey, we know everything about this sport. We are huge fans of this sport. We are going to get a different winner on some of the fights because at the end of the day, we're fans. You can only judge something fairly is if you are not a fan. And so it's just the way it is, man. Some people got a bad break and some people don't. But my opinion of judging is it has been fixed to a certain degree, and it's always going to be questionable. Especially you got a guy like Johnny Hendricks who, he lost the world championship, and it was a flip of a coin. So you can see how a guy like that could be bitter. But I can tell you, Johnny Hendricks is only retired until he runs out of money.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay, I cannot remember what organization it was. It may have been back when it was World Series of Fighting. But it's been years, 5, maybe 6 years. And I think they only did it, I know they did it at least once, maybe twice, where they put the judges backstage in their own soundproof room with a TV. They were watching what we at home were watching. They were watching the broadcast. and they judged it that way. I mean, I don't ever see it going there, like.
Yeah, I think you fix that. I think you fix it if you just keep it the way it is and let the fighters know what the score is at the end of the round. I think it's fixed at that point. I think there's a lot of other things you can do, but no, I don't know about putting them in a cubicle or anything like that. But Nick, hey, thanks for coming on, buddy. That was a great point. You want to shout out to anybody?
No, not really. Just thanks for having me on, man. Maybe I can do it again.
All right, thanks for listening, brother.
All right, thanks, buddy.
All right, thanks, Nick. No, good point. It's definitely something we should discuss more at length. Our next take, we've got Brian, Mr. Little in Texas. What do you got, Brian?
I can finally mean this when I say it. Broadcasting live, this is your favorite blockhead. And I just hopped over the guardrails, and since I was never thrown a Nicky bone to have to chew on, I am swinging like Samson in the Old Testament. I'm swinging a donkey jawbone, clearing the stage and clearing house until I'm the last man standing. The crowd has popped. I've grabbed the mic, and you just thought that your favorite blockhead only spends his day wrecking kites and missing place kicks. But I've got the mic now, and I'm making a couple of call-outs to people.
Hey, hold on, Brian.
What's up?
You before you get into that, there was all this static for the last almost when you got on. So were you on speaker and then went to the live line, or did you do something different in the last 30 seconds on your end? Because
blockhead life ain't easy. I'm not tech savvy, man. That's all I got for this point.
No. We got a recording issue. When you called in, did you do something on your end? Because when you started out hot, it sounded beautiful. Did you go from speaker to non-speaker?
I just went to speaker, my friend. Just had it on for a while. He told me to mute it, probably because you could pick up my nasal breathing, so I apologize for that in advance.
No, we couldn't hear that. I think the mute is do you know what I'm saying, Kevin? Is there was some static there? So anyway, Brian, go on. You were killing it. It sounds good now. Go on.
The first guy that I'm making my call out to, J-Baby, you live in the same city that I do, the Dirty W, and yet you have gone dark more times than Jack Bauer on 24. But Godfather, Brother Sin, I'm going to keep on greasing that palm and try to get him to come on the show. But until that time, you've got the generic version. So the next thing I want to say, Joe Rogan, instead of wasting your time having dust up with Chael, why don't you just wrap that up, give that some closure, and why don't you come on and start throwing some kisses, Michael Jackson style, to this podcast? Know what to spend your time on, my friend. It's called best practices. Next thing I'm going to say, other than that, I'm going to go and put it out there that just for this podcast anybody listen to, remember one thing from Blockhead today. The rear view mirror is smaller than the windshield for a reason. This is going to pick up some momentum. We're going to keep going. But if you need a side venture, I'm talking to Jacob from You're Welcome. Jacob, do you need a side venture from your current day internship? I'll tell you what, you can work for the one employer that could do a snap and drag 1 minute and then do a crack a rat in the hallway and the poor receptionist down the hallway the next. You might want to consider that for the side, man, because Kevin Senior and Joel Supernaw are taking over the podcasting world with your favorite blockhead close at their heels. Let me say that again in instant replay for the NPR podcast in the top 10 of the iTunes. Swap nay what they smart that. Joel Supernaw and Kevin Sivnier are going to be taking over the podcasting world with your favorite blockhead close at their heels. And for the NPR 10 and the top 10 podcasts, the old farts, they're just coasting along right now. Why don't you, when 8192 shows up on that ball ridge to the north and you're facing them and they open their cheeky slag mouth and they say that's bold talk for a bland insurance agent and a 200-plus buffoon, just take those reins into your teeth, spin your Colt 45, and just exclaim at the top of your lungs, "Fill your hands, you son of a..."
And like that, he's gone.
Dude, that was beautiful. That not only was that beautiful, is I cut him off. So that was Brian Little, and he's got a podcast called Your Favorite Blockhead. So he came in hot. He had that rant hot, but the recording thing that we had there, you're going to have to figure that out. The sound that we had, the bad sound we had, there was something from that line. There was something from his line. So whatever it was, we got to figure that out. But anyway, I broke that up, and he still came in hot, and then he finished with a John Wayne line from True Grit. Fill your hands, you sons of bitches. My dad's favorite line in movies all time. I have no idea what he was mad about. That was he was fired up about something. He was pubbing the show. I like that. There's not one single talking point we have on that one. But hey, thanks, Brian, for coming on. You did a great job. And
no follow up necessary.
This is a work in progress. All right, who do we got next?
We got one final caller, the head of the famous Dose Leprechauns podcast, Mr. Jason Hendricks, live from California.
Finally,
Jason, what do you got, brother?
What's going on, fellas? Thanks for having me on, and I'm super pumped that 8192 is back. It's been far too long. Thank you for taking my call this morning.
Absolutely.
But first off, though, that last guy, man, I didn't understand more than a couple words he said, and I think he called the wrong show. I think he thought he was calling the Jim Rome Smack-Off show, trying to call somebody out inadvertently. But anyways, what I'm calling for is I've been listening. I'm pretty excited about this Saturday's fight between DC and Stipe Miocic, and I don't think DC is getting enough credit is if he wins being the greatest of all time. I think that you really got to go back and look. This guy's 20-1, and let's be honest, his losses are to a guy that can't stay out of trouble, can't keep his nose clean. Major pun intended on that, by the way. And his losses are very controversial. So when you look at his win-loss record, he's beat the likes of Frank Mir, Anderson Silva, Anthony Johnson twice, Gus. I just really think that this guy needs to get the credit he deserves. DC is a grinder. He works hard. He does it the right way. And when he fell on that stage yesterday, man, I dang near had a heart attack because I thought that dude was going to be out, just like Max Holloway. So I'm just calling because I want people to give DC the respect he deserves, the respect he's owed. He really is that role model that I think MMA fighters that are at that level and have that platform should be. And I just think if he wins, man, he needs to go down to the Mount Rushmore of MMA fighters.
All right, hey, great. First off, you're dead on. I think Brian thought that's where the show was going, and we'll have him on again. I didn't understand 3 or 4 words anyway, but he did a great job. Now I do want to tell you this because you have a podcast with your son.
Yes, sir.
Bro. So I'm down here in the studio by myself, and the first 2 times I did a pretty good job. I like to go front to back. Well, I had extra time, so I called Ladd, and Ladd opened up the show with his picks, and I deleted it.
Oh no!
Yeah, I deleted it, so I feel horrible. Let's talk about that for a second. So the big thing there is you say a bunch of interesting things. The first one is John Jones the best fighter in the history of this sport? And there's 2 sides of it. There's the side is, yes, nobody's ever beaten him. Then there's the side is, has he been cheating the whole time? Man, you can argue that for days and days and days, but inside the cage, I think that's the best fighter that any of us have ever watched fight. You can take that for what you want. The second part of that is, yeah, man, DC's only lost to that guy, and that guy is completely questionable. I am shocked that DC is a 2-1 underdog. I am shocked at that. And boy, when he comes in with that confidence, and he comes in and he's on that mic, and he is so good at mental games, and people don't realize that. He broke Anthony Johnson the first time, and he never got over it. He said, I will big brother that kid. He's been trying to big brother and let Stipe know that he's been around a lot longer when he was just coming up, and he is the man. Since that show started, all the way through that show, and all the way through that week. I am a fan of both guys, and me and Ladd are both going for Stipe. I'm not going to be upset if Daniel wins. I am going to be upset that I didn't bet it at 2-1, at a 2-1 underdog. I don't know how he's there. I think it's because he didn't look real well on his feet against who's that last guy he fought? Ozdemir?
Ozdemir, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't look very good on his feet against Ozdemir, and I don't think he's going to be able to take down Stipe. I don't think he's going to try to take down Stipe. I think he's going to try to beat him on his feet and take him out. If he's smart, he'll try to wrestle him. Can he take Stipe down and keep him down? Man, I think I'd be more sure Stipe was going to win if the odds were a little bit closer, like plus 130 or a pick'em fight. I don't like to see a trap thrown out there like that. This is what us gamblers call a trap. 2-1 on DC. DC's. The question is this DC's last fight at 205? Or does DC go down and fight again at 205, win or lose? What do you think?
I think this will be his last fight at 205. I don't think he'll fight at 205 again. If he gets the title, I think he's going up. I think I've heard rumors that Brock will come in, and it'll be Brock versus DC. And I think that would be the fight right there. That if he beats Brock, because Brock's obviously a superior wrestler and so much bigger. I think if he's able to beat Stipe and Brock, I don't think there's any doubt that he's the greatest of all time.
Oh, okay. You're still going down that line.
Yeah, I think he does move up, because especially if he wins, because then I think that opens it up for Rockhold to step into 205 as a top contender, and same camp, so they're not going to want to fight each other, just like he stepped out of heavyweight, so him and Kane didn't have to fight each other. So I definitely think it's a long shot that Kane ever comes back. So I think this is his move up, and it's more comfortable for him. It's healthier for him to not have to make that cut anymore.
Man, so. Kane must have his money right, because you can talk about. I watch these guys come up and wrestle for all these years and never have a dollar to their name, and then a guy like Kane becomes world champion, defends it a couple times. Man, he must be the only one watching his money, because no wrestler in the history of this planet that had to grind and grind and grind is going to be broke when they can go pick up $250,000 to $1 million fighting. So Kane must have watched his money. He must have made a bunch of it on those pay-per-views, and good for him, because the only way he doesn't come back is if he doesn't need the money. That's fight economics. That's what that is.
I think he benefited from the one Lesnar fight. That's probably where he made his money, because outside of that, his numbers weren't a huge draw. His JDS fights weren't huge pay-per-view numbers, so I think he benefited from that one Lesnar fight, and you're right. He probably did something smart with it.
Good for him. Good for him. So, hey, Doss, who do you got in Lewis versus Ngannou?
Ngannou? I'm a huge fan of the Black Beast. I think that guy is money walking around. He knows how to sell a fight. He knows how to get on the mic and say some things to get people fired up. I think Derek Lewis wins only because I think he's got that that punch that can come out of nowhere and just put anybody down. So I'm going to go with Derek Lewis on that one. But I think, again, like you said about Stipe and DC, I won't be disappointed whoever wins. But I just think Derek Lewis is a little bit tougher. His hands are a little meaner. I got Derek Lewis winning by knockout at some point.
Yeah, I think he needs to get through that storm. But boy, I tell you, the one thing about the Beast is his cardio is just so bad, but he doesn't fold tent. He doesn't. If somebody could get that guy in shape, because that's what a heavyweight. To me, that's what a heavyweight looks like. He's got a little fat on him. He's bigger than a mountain. That's what a heavyweight looks like. That's a guy that I want to see. I want to see him in a title fight. I want to see him entertain us. Are we still? Because he's a 3.5 to 1 underdog. You could go DC. You could go DC, Lewis, and and Mike Perry. Mike Perry. Though I agree with Ladd, I think Felder's going to beat him. You could pick 3 underdogs on a parlay and make a bunch of money on this card, because all 3 of those fights can go the other way. Lewis can beat Ngannou. DC can definitely beat Stipe, even though nobody beats the Stipe, and then Perry can beat Felder. So there's money to be made on this here card. What's your take on Holloway, bro?
Oh man, I feel so bad for that guy. I think watching that Bisping interview where he clearly looked like something was wrong. I mean, I've had concussions before. I've seen a lot of people with concussions, and he definitely didn't look right. So I'm glad Bisping kind of brought that to somebody's attention, maybe off camera or whatever. But yeah, I think Holloway is another guy that's a great example of what an MMA fighter should be. He doesn't duck anybody. Some people, all the typewriter tough guys out there saying that he's ducking him, he's doing this and that. I don't think so at all. I think he was devastated he didn't get that fight. So I'm looking forward to them actually making that happen, hopefully a few months down the road. And that fight right there should be headlining a card. I mean, it's great that we were going to get that on 226 with all these other barn burners, but man, that right there is going to be a hell of a fight.
Yeah. I tell you, the interesting thing that happened there is so the way this played out is Holloway's out. They offer Frankie to Ortega, and Ortega immediately says no. Ortega, before they know if Frankie can fight or not, Ortega says, no, I'm waiting for Holloway. This pisses off the UFC because if you recall, Ortega got his break against Edgar because Holloway pulled out of that fight. So you got a guy that doesn't have any holes in his game, is Ortega, saying no to the UFC. That's bad form. So the UFC immediately goes over and tries to make Stevens Edgar. Stevens is like, I'm down like Charlie Brown. Stevens goes out and starts cutting weight as soon as they call, which when I heard the ruckus, I was like, I wonder if Frankie could make it. So it turns out Frankie wasn't going to be able to get cleared. He was like a week away from getting cleared. He just had some stem cell shots or something. So I can tell you this. The next fight for the belt is not going to have Ortega in the mix. It's going to be I guarantee Stevens gets it. Much like when they canceled that one UFC event when Chael offered to fight John Jones on like 24 or 36 hours notice. He got that fight. He got the championship fight next because he was the guy that said yes. Well, the guy that said yes in this is Jeremy Stevens, and it's going to cinch a title fight for him. That title fight is not going to be against Ortega. That title fight's going to be against Frankie. Mark my words. Ortega made a calculated mistake in thinking that, okay, hey, we're gonna be able to run this. Me and him can run it back next month, which his handlers around him gave him bad advice. They gave him bad advice because there was no way. As soon as I heard all of the things that were going on, I was like, okay, Holloway's got something wrong with him. Physically, mentally, weight-wise, there's something wrong with Max, and it's going to take a minute to get it right. So Ortega is not, he might get the challenge, but he did not take a page out of Chuck Liddell or Chael Sonnen's book that when somebody asks you a question at the UFC, the answer's got to be yes. So mark my words, Jeremy Stevens gets the next shot, and I don't think it's going to be against Holloway, and I know it's not going to be against Max. I think we've seen Max fight at 145 for the last time. Did I lose you?
Yeah, I'm still here. What do you guys think about the Chiesa versus Anthony Pettis fight? I'm excited about that one too.
Are you there, Kevin? Kevin's got to be there.
Yeah,
because you're there.
Yeah.
What do I think about the Chiesa fight?
Yeah, Chiesa against Anthony Pettis.
Man, I don't know enough about it. I think I've said this for years. It is so hard to climb to the top of the mountain and then have to do it again. It's just so hard. That's why people forget that Randy Couture had to do that a few times. If Frankie can do it again, boy, he's up there for greatest of all time. It's not that first time to win the belt, man. It's the struggle to do it again and all the different things that change. This isn't the same sport it was when Pettis started fighting. Pettis started fighting long enough ago that there was no fame and fortune guaranteed. And now it is an entertainment sport. It truly is. We hardcore fans, everybody that's been on this show today, are hardcore fans. Well, guess what, guys? We are the minority. We're the minority. The people that steer the ship are the Miss H's of the world that are going to buy a pay-per-view if Connor's on it. She didn't know anything about the sport, but those are the people that steer the ship. And long story short, I just, whoever wants it more is going to win that fight. And if you look at him, God, that Chiesa looks like he's 2 weight classes ahead of him.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Chiesa, and I think he's there's another one. I think Chiesa is a big favorite on this. So you got a former world champion as an underdog, and if Pettis wins, it wouldn't shock me, but I am definitely going with Chiesa.
All right.
All right. Well, Dose, thanks for coming on the show. You want to give your podcast a shout out? Give your kid a shout out?
Yeah, thank you guys very much. Big shout out to my co-host and best bud, Leprechaun Nathan. He's playing football, freshman high school at Notre Dame High School, so go Titans. And yeah, just if you want to check us out on Twitter, we're at Dos Leprechauns, and we record during the off season. We have Notre Dame football. We record about once a month. During the season, we record once a week to kind of recap the games. What makes us unique is we always try to get at least one former Notre Dame athlete, whether it be football, baseball, basketball, to come on. So it's a good time. It's a labor of love for us. We love it. Diehard fans, obviously. So yeah, thanks for giving us the time.
Yeah. Now Kevin's a diehard Notre Dame fan. You should have him on your show. You guys could talk.
Absolutely.
You guys could talk.
I got a real quick question for you, Jason, before you get off the line. So just tell us briefly, this whole fantasy camp thing you're going to, that's something we all want to do at some point, whether it's Yankees fantasy camp or Notre Dame fantasy camp. Just fill us in real quick when you're going to that and what that's about.
Yeah, man. So, I definitely, it's the fantasy camp. Notre Dame fantasy camp is $5,000, but it's one of those things that it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Some of these guys go, multiple years, but for me, that's not something that's a reality. So for me, I want to go one time. I'm trying to go in 2019. It's the first week of June every year. And what it is basically you're treated as if you're an incoming Notre Dame football player, a recruit. You stay on campus. You get to practice with the team, with some of the coaches that are current players, former players at Legends, things like that. You practice with the entire coaching staff. You get all the gear, and then you actually play a game. It's a flag game, but you still have full pads on inside the stadium. And throughout the time, you get all kinds of cool experiences and visits from former guys and things like that. A couple years ago, my buddy Jason Lynch was there, and the legendary Eric Parsegian came in, and that was actually the last kind of appearance that he had representing Notre Dame before he passed. So unbelievable experience. So I've got GoFundMe's. I got a store I got open with our gear on there and stuff like that to try to help me get there. You got a
GoFundMe account for a bucket list?
Hey man, I always tell people if you're gonna give to people that need it first, and if you have a few cents to throw down afterwards, then I'm not gonna turn it down.
Oh, I love it. I tell you what, if I can ever go play a game in Wrigley Field with Ladd, I'll figure out how to come up with 10 dimes. Well, hey, good luck with that, man. Hey. I love it. You got a GoFundMe account for a bucket list. Perfect. I'm going to do a GoFundMe account because I hate working and I like living the high life. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Well, hey, Jason, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, gentlemen. Have a good day.
All right, Sin. So hey, so I think we are you there, brother?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so I think we have, this is a work in progress. There's no way to test that because when there was something there the entire time Nate was talking, and then when Brian started talking, it went away, and there was just a little bit of volume, static on the first time. So anyway, this is a work in progress. Let's roll down some of those. Well, there's only 2 topics there. MMA judging.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They're never going to do the backroom judging like you stated. That to me is clear. I think some of the people like Chael or Joe Rogan, I mean, they've got good ideas. Maybe we add a couple judges, make it more of a panel, so it's not 3, maybe 5 judges, and then, like you said, just make these scores known round by round, and make each judge's score round by round known. So not only the total score, but how ESPN Boxing it'll flash the graphic up on the screen between rounds. John Smith has it 37-38, Bob Jones has it 39-36, etc. So I think we do those couple things. It'll tighten the reins a little bit, make them a little more accountable. But yeah, we're never going to get the back room in a quiet solitude judging. But there are a few things they could do to tweak it, and it's not that bad.
Man, I tell you though,
people get real dramatic about it when they have 1 or 2 bad calls, but it's not horrific by any stretch.
Now, this as well as I do, is you go to a UFC event and you sit cage side, and you'll watch a lot of the fight from the Jumbotron, depending on where they are, because they're fighting. There's 8 bars in there that block your view. No matter, well, I guess if you're right there, that's a little bit different. I mean, being 5 feet back, but yeah, I tell you, the 2 things about posting the cards are the fighters in their corners know what's up. That's the big one, because just like Jason's going on a Notre Dame money grab, like in Notre Dame doesn't have enough money. They want to bilk old Jason out of 5 dimes. Man, that is a money grab. But just like all of the different money grabs that the UFC does to us, whereas we can hear the corners now. There's ways we can hear the corners on Fight Pass when you buy them online, and they're even on the pay-per-views. They're even going to the corner. Man, there's some stuff that I don't need to know. There's some stuff that I do not need to hear. There's some stuff as a competitor that should be private. And what I say to my fighter in between rounds is one of them. With that said, you're down 2-1, bro, or you're down. You've got to win this round. That is a huge, huge thing for the competitor and his corner. And then the second one is you as a judge. If you're trying to do the Tennessee screw job, because when somebody is so wrong about a fight, when one judge scores at 37, scores a pick'em fight, 30-27, that judge went into the contest with an agenda. That agenda may have been, hey, I'm a bigger fan of the other guy. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to overanalyze this thing because I want to be fair, and in being fair, I miss it. I miss it by a mile. Or you're just flat kinking the system. So I think the sport gets fixed. The judging gets fixed immediately when you know what the score is at the end of the round. It doesn't take 2. It takes three people to go over. You add a fourth person in there. Post your scores within 10 seconds. You don't have to add them up. I mean, that's crazy to me. So
I agree. And what you mentioned about the obstructed view, that's a good point. So maybe they don't go backstage in a quiet room. Maybe they do what some of the analysts do, and they've got a table slightly elevated, back a few rows, kind of like the loge area, where they still get all the power of the fan reaction, that kind of stuff that people think plays into it, but they get a little better view. So who knows? But yeah.
All right. And then on Jason's point,
he said about DC. I completely agree. He's not getting his due as the greatest ever, or possibly because of John Jones, and that's just not going to go away until he beats John. That stigma, that asterisk on DC's career is not going to go away. It's just not. He could go and win 15 heavyweight fights, defend it 14 times. The stigma's not going to he's not going to be the best because he didn't beat John. And we can prove that John was using PEDs the entire career, or whether he wasn't. So it's always going to be there.
Yeah, you know what? And does it really matter? Does it? I mean, we as fans end up talking about the points that do not matter, because the reality of the situation is once you're out of the shine, man, you are out of the shine. So,
Absolutely.
so when DC retires, whether he, here's the problem with DC retiring. If he wins this fight and he gets a Brock fight, which is going to be a wash, he'll run through Brock. Yeah, that would probably be enough FU money to walk away. But it's just, man, when you're on top of your game and then you're the champion of the world, man, I want to see somebody walk away on top and not come back.
Yeah,
I really
absolutely.
do. It pains me. It pains me to see 95% of the guys go out with the L. They go out looking up at the lights, and I would too, man. If you're going to pay me to fight, as opposed to go work, get on a plane and go glad hand people I don't know or don't care about. Yeah, I'm gonna go get down. So I completely understand that. I feel so bad, Sin, that I opened the show with Ladd, and it's the only part of the show that's not here. I tried
Well,
to.
you can do it. You can do it again. We can get it back on. We've got time.
No,
You got time to read the-
I understand that, but I want to go over Ladd's picks one more time, and we'll see
Yeah.
we'll see what you think. I'm not gonna. So there's a guy named Roundtree against Goku. Somebody.
Gokhan Saki, yes, one of the top 5 kickboxers in the world. He is devastating. They call him the Turkish Tyson. He's the T-bomb. I got him. Every fight he's in, I'm going with him because he is exciting as hell to watch.
Okay, Ladd's going with him. You're going with him. I'm going to stay away from that fight. I'm not going to pick that fight. The next fight, Perry against Felder. Who do you got there?
He's on a bad streak. He's lost, 3 out of 4, 2 out of 4, something like that. And just watching the face-off, Felder is a big boy. Felder is a very big boy for that class. I don't think he's got too many left in him before he just goes commentating full-time. So I'm going to Felder on this one. I think he wants to go out on a high note. But, yeah, his size just in that face-off, he's just a bit too big for Perry for my liking. So I'm with Felder.
Man, I will tell you this about Felder. One of the first times I listened to him commentate, the whole time I'm like, who is that? And I wanted to know so bad I didn't listen to him. And then I found out, oh, that's Paul Felder. And then the next time I listened to him, I'm like, man, he's really, really good at that.
He is extremely good at that.
Man,
that's where his future is.
Yeah, I tell you, when you try to worship two gods, okay, you usually get bit in the ass. I'm going to change my pick here. My pick was Paul Felder. I'm going to change my pick, and I'm going to go with the underdog, Mr. Perry. I'm going to do that. I'm going to change it in real time here on the 8192 The Truth Show. It's been changed. Ladd had Felder. You have Felder. I'm going to go with Perry. Next fight, Ngannou and Lewis. Who you got?
I'm going with Lewis. I think Ngannou's going to be trying too hard to prove himself after the loss to Stipe, and he's going to come out swinging with every haymaker he's got. He says he's been working on wrestling, whatever he's doing, but I don't believe it. I think he's going to come out and he's going to try and end it lightning quick to prove that he's deserving of a top spot. And I think Lewis is just going to withstand it. I think he will wrestle him a bit, get him down, and Lewis isn't a wrestler by nature, but he played college football. He can do a good power double. I think he's just got a few more skills. He's got a little bit more experience going through the grind in a fight than Ngannou, and I think he throws damn near as much power as Ngannou. So I've got Lewis.
Yeah, I told Chael, me and Chael were talking about this fight, and I said almost that exact thing. I said, I think Lewis is going to take him down. And he said, well, I didn't know Lewis was a fighter, but if I'm correct, he won several of his first few fights by taking the dude down and pounding him out on top. So I thought he was a wrestler. We're going to have to go back. I think at least he was a high school wrestler. I may be wrong. I tell you, everybody in the world's going with Lewis on this one. This one scares me. But I'm going to ride with Lewis. I'm going to ride with him just like the rest of you. We love Lewis. It'd be great to see him fight for the championship.
Especially after his comment at the presser about telling DC backstage he was going to kick his ass, and they said, why? And Lewis said, because he disrespected Popeye's chicken. I mean, how can you not love the guy?
All right. And then the final one. We got DC and Stipe.
I'm an Ohio boy, a Cleveland boy. I got to go with Stipe. I think it's going to be damn good. I think Stipe's takedown defense is pretty good, so I don't see DC just flat out taking him down. I think his best shot is to use his weight, get him against the cage, and do some dirty boxing and get him down that way with some trips. But I don't see him just flat out single-legging him in the middle of the ring and in the middle of the cage and taking him down. I think his best shot is up against the cage. But I just see Stipe, having too much takedown defense, and, he's got pretty good power. So it could go either way, but I'm going with Stipe.
All right. I was just getting ready to go with DC, but then I realized me and Ladd came up with nobody beats the Stipe. So I gotta ride with that. I've got to ride with nobody beats the Stipe. So in closing, I like what we're doing with the call-ins. There was some static problems that we're going to have to figure out. Brian Little came in hot. He did. He came in and he went full Jim Rome on us. Thank you, Brian, for doing that. I think Nate had a good topic, but moving forward, guys, I really want to try. I really do want to try to make this a fan-friendly show. If we can do it, we can do it. If not, we'll go back. And my opinion on that is, normally when I need a topic, I'll ask the fans, hey, what's a good topic? And the fans are usually always right. And this is a perfect example. Great topic was judging. Great topic was DC. We didn't, me and Brew talked a little bit about Max Holloway, but we as a community kind of left that one alone. So I thought that was interesting. And that's it, man. That's it for this episode. This is a work in progress, guys. Get a hold of Kevin at Kevin Surnear, SURNEAR, at yahoo.com to line up next week. And it is at 9 o'clock Pacific Coast time is when we want you on Kevin's line. And if we can, pick up steam with this thing, I'll get us to a point where you call in. But I don't mind. I actually like having everybody on the line like that. So, maybe that static's you.
Yeah, no, it works well. I mean, we're always going to have a little bit when it's cell phone call-ins and stuff like that. But
that's right, because you can't. That's the only way.
People just got to find a quiet spot, get their mute on when they're not talking. Just some kinks. But overall, it worked well. I liked it.
All right, cool. All right, brother, I'm gonna go try to sell a roof. Peace.
You do that, buddy.